We often think, I'm sure, as we muse about that phenomenon, what were people thinking during the run-up to World War II? I believe what they were thinking is pretty much what most of us are thinking today. They were thinking, it's not our problem. It's happening someplace else. If we ignore it, it'll go away. Or at the very least, if we give Hitler what he wants, that'll make sure he's safe. He'll leave us alone. We are today doing the same thing vis-a-vis Iran. And I'm sorry to say that the new administration seems about to greatly ramp up the same kind of thinking. It's not our problem what Ahmadinejad is up to. It'll not become our problem if we ignore it, or at the very least if we enter into a constructive dialogue with him, he'll leave us alone. Not clear that he'll leave Israel alone, but I submit to you that he won't leave us alone either. You know, there's an interesting story that broke last week. I don't know if you saw it. I wrote a column yesterday about it in the Washington Times that President Obama, as an early bit of redecorating in the Oval Office, removed a bust of Winston Churchill that had been presented to the American people by the British government after 9/11 in solidarity. It had a place of honor in the Bush White House. In the Obama White House, it was not only moved out of the Oval Office, it was not moved into, say, the Cabinet Room or the Roosevelt Room or the family residence or the attic. It wasn't even moved into the Smithsonian where we could all appreciate it. It was sent back to the British government. Now, I happen to think that's symbolic at the very least. I don't know if it was intentionally so or not, but I'm afraid that as we think about what's happening now with the appeasement of Iran, and by the way, the appointment to high office of a whole series of people who have been associated directly with the government of Iran and/or its influence operations in the United States. In fact, we have a paper that will be coming out today at the Center for Security Policy on this subject, making note, among others, that a fellow by the name of Chaz Freeman apparently will be the chairman of the National Intelligence Council. Chaz Freeman was formerly the ambassador to Saudi Arabia, also a senior embassy official in China. He has been active since he left government service, promoting anti-Israel causes, and in particular, the imperative of accommodating Iran. It's hard to imagine that things could get worse than the National Intelligence Estimate that was prepared in December 2007, which absurdly claimed that Iran had gone out of the nuclear weapons business. But if it's possible, ladies and gentlemen, it will be done on Chaz Freeman's watch. So, what do we do about this? Which is really the lead into why we're all here. Obviously, I think there are a number of things that it makes sense for us to do, and I would encourage your several organizations to join forces behind them. Some of them may be more familiar or comfortable to you, but I think all of them make sense. I think we have to maintain a missile defense in the face of the burgeoning threat of ballistic missile attack from places like Iran. I personally believe we should maintain a base of forward operations in Iraq, which has the best hope of being a check on Iranian ambitions. I hope you will help the Netanyahu government, assuming that's what comes next in Israel, resist the pressure that will be applied to it by the United States government to make territorial concessions that I believe will threaten the very existence of the state of Israel. But in particular, there's something that each and every one of you can do that will make a real difference. That has come to be called by my friend Roger Robinson, who invented it, terror-free investing. The idea is very simple. And thanks to his good work and that of Senator Deutsch and other legislators around the country, we have seen a number of different options developed whereby organizations, individuals, foundations, and governments, public pension funds in particular, can ensure that their financial assets are not in the service of people like that Iranian regime that are trying to destroy this country. Roger will tell you more about some options that are now developing that make this much easier than when Senator Deutsch helped pass the legislation here in Florida that took the rather blunt approach of trying to get the pension funds to divest. There are other measures that are now coming onto the market that will make this, I think, both essentially cost-free and very easy for even the individual investor to ensure that their funds are not in service of causes totally at odds with their values and their personal and physical security. As The Economist magazine said in an article about this a couple of months back, not with my money. And I think that's a good leitmotif for both what we're here to do today and what I hope you'll do to help us contend with the threat that Iran and these other terrorist states represent to all of us. Thank you very much.